City of stars, are you shining just for me?
City of stars, are you shining just for me?
Hello everyone, welcome to my review of La La Land, written and directed by Damien Chazelle, starring Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. This film is about two young artists who are trying to make their way in Los Angeles in their specific art. Emma Stone's character wants to become an actress, and Ryan Gosling wants to become a more solidified jazz musician. And in this film, they have a relationship that is trying to facilitate their specific dreams. But before I go any further, I just want to say that I will do my very best not to spoil any of the plot of this film. First off, I want to say that this film is receiving some heavy critical acclaim in this award season. I'm seeing it on all kind of people's favorites lists, all kind of critics lists, and everything of that nature. And I will have to say that that positivity is very well warranted. I really do like this film a lot. I will say that right away. While some people believe that it is a perfect film, a masterpiece, I'm not quite on that level, but I will definitely say I do like this film a lot. I want to obviously discuss the positives of the film, and I will begin with Damien Chazelle. Damien Chazelle is a director that has come along in the last few years, and he is a fantastic director in my opinion. If you've seen his film Whiplash, you know exactly what I'm talking about. He is extremely, very gifted as a filmmaker. And in this film, he's dealing with similar type things. He's dealing with people trying to fulfill their dreams as artists. But this film takes a, I would say, rather different approach than Whiplash. This film is part musical, part traditional narrative, and it is an interesting mesh of both of those things. And I will definitely say right off the bat, the direction in this film is indeed flawless, in my opinion. The way that he constructs every scene, every shot, in my opinion, I think is just perfect. The way the cinematography is done is immensely well done. It is fantastic. This film is part musical, like I've said, so there are very elaborate musical numbers with choreography and camera angles and movement, and the soundtrack is spectacular. And I will have to say, even when it's not a musical scene, the cinematography I feel is phenomenal. It's a film that decides to be very offhand when it comes to the cinematography. It's a film that likes to let the camera sit back and let long takes play out, and it's really an older style of filmmaking that Damien Chazelle employs in this film, and that is an interesting aspect of this film that I'll delve into a little later. But I will say this: you will notice a lot of long takes, not a lot of coverage or a lot of cuts. You'll see the camera pan with people, you'll see the camera move in and out of places. It is really fantastic to see. Also, the set design is also, I think, particularly strong because this film really tries to pay homage to the classical musicals from the past, specifically from the golden age of Hollywood. Films like the films from Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, Swing Time, Top Hat, even utilizing things from films from later on past the golden age of Hollywood. Films like The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, directed by Jacques Demy, films like Singing in the Rain, and it really tries to take all of the classical things that are within those classic musicals and employ them in this film. It's very much an homage to classic Hollywood. There are posters of classic films all over the place in this film. There are giant murals. I mean, after all, the film is called La La Land, which is obviously a nickname for Hollywood or Los Angeles, and the film really tries to connect with that old Hollywood, connect with the old history of film, and I think the film does a relative good job of that. Some people may believe that it takes too much influence from it, or that in fact that it is being a cheaper imitation of it, or perhaps a ripoff of it, but it's really not. It is, I feel that it is done in a very loving, very appropriate way, and doing it intentionally, is intentionally trying to be like these older musicals, But the film is not entirely a musical. There is a rather traditional narrative within it. And the film, like I said, does deal with artists and their dreams and pursuing those dreams and what that entails, specifically what personal sacrifices that need to be made and things of that nature. And the two artists in this film are portrayed by Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling, and in my opinion, they do a phenomenal job when it comes to acting. I have been a fan of both of those actors for years, and they really have a great on-screen chemistry, in my opinion. Some people may believe they don't. I believe they do. They've worked with each other in the past, so they know each other very, very well, and that does add to their on-screen chemistry. You will definitely see a lot of awards recognition nominees for both of these actors. I think it's well warranted. This film will definitely speak out to you. I think if you are an artist trying to fulfill your dream, if you are someone who has moved to Los Angeles and is dealing with that, I think you'll get that connection there. That's where I have certain issues with the film, but I'll get to those in the negatives. But I will say this, the production, the direction, the acting, I think is phenomenal. The musical sequence are wondrous. They are very much awe-inspiring. Even if you don't like musicals, I think you should still watch this film if you are a fan of technical film production. Because like I said, cinematography, direction, everything is impeccably well done. But I will dare say this film is not entirely perfect in my opinion. One of the major flaws I have with the film is, in spite of all of this fantastic production and wondrous sequences, the film, I think, lags or lacks when it comes to the general story of it. Because at the heart of this film is a romance story. It is a romance story wrapped in a musical as well as traditional filmmaking elements. And that is, I think, is where the film lacks, because when you're dealing with romance, specifically in films, a lot of films tend to fall back on certain relationship cliches, relationship storytelling, and things of that nature. And unfortunately, the film, I believe, falls back on that. And I felt it really hindered it because the film has such a unique vibe to it. It feels new and old at the same time. It feels like it's trying to balance those elements, and it balances them relatively well. But when it interjects certain more cliched writing elements, that's where I'm kind of pulled out of the wonders of the film. But I'll say, even though I'm pulled out of it, it doesn't really hinder the film greatly for me. It does hurt it, but doesn't hurt it to completely destroy the film. I know the film has had its critics when it's come to its story, and I can definitely understand their perspective because I have those concerns myself, but they aren't as egregious as I think some others would take it as. The film tries to blend old film elements with new film elements. It's trying to make an older musical within a modern Los Angeles setting and modern Hollywood setting, and that's where I feel the film has some issues. The film tries to have fantasy elements as well as reality elements to them, and like the old films that deal with the fantasy sides of things, that really takes away from the reality sides of things, because as we know, in modern times, life is genuinely hard. It is genuinely hard, specifically for struggling artists and things of that nature. There are, I would probably say, millions of people who probably go to Los Angeles to pursue their dreams, and many of them, probably the vast majority of them, don't get to do that, or they have a lot of real dark problems along the way, and the film really doesn't delve into that. I feel like the film purposely doesn't delve into that because the film, yet again, is trying to balance the fantasy with the reality, and you can get away with not dealing with kind of more real elements if you interject some of these fantasy elements within it. So I feel the film has a sentimentality to it, while really wonderful on screen, and it works very well for this film. I found it to be a hindrance because I found myself removed from this, because I found myself questioning certain aspects of the story. But I'll say this, the film does have a genuine wonderment to it, a genuine magic to it that I greatly appreciated as a lover of film. I am a self-described cinephile. I love classic film, and I really like when certain classic elements are interjected into modern films, and I feel like the film genuinely succeeds in doing that. With all that being said, I'm going to give this film a relatively high score. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, to me it's not a perfect film. It is a very good film. I'm not going to be surprised at all when it gets the nominations for the various award ceremonies, as well as probably winning some of those awards. This has been my review of La La Land, written and directed by Damien Chazelle, starring Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. If you like this video, please check out my other movie reviews, as well as my reviews for the various comic book television series.